Der Tiger, eine der stärksten Waffen unseres Heeres.
Being easily one of the most well-known tanks of all time, their service in the German army during World War II has made the Tiger tank become a thing of legend. Even today, the handful of remaining tanks draw thousands each year just to see the real thing in person. Despite this widespread notoriety though, one aspect of their story I rarely see discussed is their use outside of German hands. Before we get ahead of ourselves, despite the incredible reputation of the Tiger, I should still give it at least a brief introduction. With only around 1,300 built, the Tiger I was a fairly rare beast compared to other German tanks of the period. Thanks to the combination of thick armor and unmatched firepower for much of the war, this rarity did not stop the Tiger from becoming infamous, and there is no denying it was an effective machine. Weighing in at nearly 60 tons when combat loaded, it's no wonder that this boxy, imposing tank caused fear among the crews facing them. Tales of the heavy tanks surviving hundreds of shots or destroying dozens of enemy tanks still get repeated today with hundreds of videos and documentaries. That's before you mention the many films, TV shows, and video games it appears in, and of course, countless models recreating it. I even stocked some at ConeOfArc.store where you can support these videos by getting some Kobe sets or model kits directly from me. I also have a growing number of 3D printed designs created and printed by me. I'll leave a link below for you to check it out for yourself. Now back to the video. German tanks in foreign service predated both the introduction of the Tiger and the Second World War itself. German Panzer Is clashed with Soviet T-26s in Spain during the 30s, and small numbers of other panzer types were either given as aid to Germany's allies or captured and pressed into service. One example of this we've previously discussed is that of the Su-76I and SG-122 assault guns built by the Soviets using captured German Panzer III and Stug III. The Tiger, in contrast, being both less common and much more valuable, unsurprisingly was given out far more sparingly. In fact, the only significant users other than the Germans were the baker's dozen worth of Tigers given to Hungarian forces and, ironically, the Soviet Union. The Soviets would also prove to be the first non-Germans to take possession of a Tiger, capturing one as early as January of 1943. Soviet Tigers in combat would take longer, but by the end of 1943, the first example began fighting back against the Germans under Lieutenant Revyakin from the 28th Guards Tank Brigade. As with any captured tank, there are any number of reasons it took so long to finally do so, probably the most important of these being the condition it was captured in. Such a powerful weapon was unlikely to be left behind intact, with crews often destroying their own tanks if they were unable to be recovered. Lack of spare parts and ammunition similarly make operating foreign armor difficult, explaining why the Germans didn't reinforce their own tank units with captured Soviet armor in large numbers. As the war progressed and the Red Army made significant territory gains, the number of Tigers did increase, but exact numbers of them in Soviet service are difficult to determine. One project to rearm the Tigers with the Soviet 100mm D10T in place of the original 88mm could have resolved any concerns with ammunition. None of these were ever completed though. Right around the time the Soviets started putting captured Tigers back into service against their former masters, Germany finally gave some willingly to their Hungarian allies. The precise number they received is unclear, but most sources agree it was somewhere between 10 and 15 Tigers starting in mid-1944. Crews were trained extremely briefly with the help of members of the German 503rd Heavy Tank Battalion from the 6th to 14th of May 1944. Combat use would come just a few months later at the end of July with good success. A single Tiger under Hungarian command was reported to have destroyed 8 Soviet tanks, as well as guns and other vehicles. Overall though, the performance of these Tigers was about the same as those operated by the Germans. insufficient numbers, lack of spare parts, and the weight of the tank proved just as detrimental to the Hungarian Tigers, and by 1945, all but one of them had been lost. Before we get into the final true operator of the Tiger tank, I do have a few honorable mentions for this WatchMojo top 10 list. The first of these is one some of you likely already expected, that being Imperial Japan. Although Japan would never actually operate one of these felines, they did observe a demonstration of one in Germany and purchased an example to be shipped to them. This order was never fulfilled, with the tank being put back into service with the Germans though. Similarly, Germany would cooperate with their Italian allies, reportedly providing a single Tiger for training purposes. Unfortunately for the Germans, we'll never know how much this would have impacted the Italian campaign due to the bulk of Italian forces surrendering in September of 1943. This tank appears to have been taken back by the Germans, with no additional tanks given. I suspect that had Italy remained in the war, they may have ended up being the second largest operator of the Tiger after Germany, with how many Tigers fought in Italy. However, as with the small number given to Hungary, the Germans may have kept all but a handful for themselves. It's also worth mentioning that Italians did operate Tigers within the Wehrmacht itself, so it seems only fair to include them. Examples of the Tiger were captured by both British and American forces, but neither appear to have put them into service. One last honorable mention goes to the possible capture of a Tiger during the Warsaw Uprising. Information on this particular vehicle is fairly lacking and was more than likely a different tank mistaken for a Tiger. The short version of the story goes that the tank was captured after a missed Panzerfaust dropped a telephone pole on the tank. The crew abandoned the tank, with most being killed during the escape. Following this, the tank was recovered and driven to a safer location where a troublemaker is said to have snuck inside and either damaged it while trying to drive it, or fired the main gun, destroying some captured vehicles. After this, the idea of using the tank was abandoned and it was stripped of any ammo before being destroyed by a German Goliath attack. If you'd like to read more on this, I'd highly recommend checking out the article by Tanks Encyclopedia, which covers it in far more depth, especially regarding some of the more questionable aspects of the story. Last but certainly not least, we have the final user of the Tiger, that being France. Following the Allied landings and the liberation of France, the French army began to rebuild itself with whatever equipment it could find, with this including armored units. The majority of this army was either long outdated pre-war French tanks or tanks provided by the US. With such a large number of German units fighting within their borders though, supplies of German armor would begin to make themselves available as well. One of these captured tanks was a Tiger of the 102nd SS Heavy Tank Battalion, designated 114. This tank had encountered a British position near the commune of Vignat in Normandy, being involved in a rear-end collision with one of the other two Tigers it was with before being shot up by the British and abandoned. Following this, the tank was recovered and put back into service as part of the Beignet Independent Squadron, which was equipped with German vehicles and commanded by Captain Guy Beignet. As for the Tiger, it was repainted and renamed to Britannia and would serve alongside other Panthers and Panzers until March 1945. After that, it would serve an additional year, now by the name Colmar, with the 2nd Squadron of the 6th Cuirassier Regiment until it was disbanded. This same tank is now under active restoration at the French Tank Museum in Saumur and has even received its very own Kobe set in collaboration with them, which I stock over at ConeOfArc.store. Interestingly, this appears to be the only noteworthy use of a Tiger 1 by Free French forces, but a single King Tiger was also captured, which similarly remains on display alongside Tiger 114. If you've ever seen a running example of a Tiger 2, there's a good chance it's that one. Speaking of which, I haven't seen a channel do a like goal in a hot minute, so how about if I get over 4,000 likes on this video, I'll do a follow-up on the Tiger 2 in foreign service. Anyways, back to our main topic, I was actually completely unaware of the incredible story behind Tiger 114 myself until reading up on the Kobe set and why it has optional French markings, which is really cool both for the model and because it shows how model building and other hobbies can teach us more about the topics we already love to learn about. Either way, I would say that the story behind Tiger 114 may make it one of the most interesting surviving examples of the tank, even when compared to the competition of Tiger 131. But what do you think? Overall, the foreign use of the Tiger tank can be summed up well with just one word: inconsequential. It's not that they performed poorly in combat in foreign hands, but rather the fact it wasn't done in large enough numbers to matter. Unless Germany was somehow able to produce more Tiger tanks or have their allies produce them for themselves, there would be no way to both equip German units and those of other Axis members. Perhaps if Italy had stayed in the war longer, we would have seen more significant use of the Tiger by them in the defense of their homeland. However, at best, this would likely only help Germany offset their rapidly declining number of veteran tank crews a little longer. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Did I miss any Tigers? Which foreign use of the Tiger was or would have been the most influential? I'm always happy to read and reply to your thoughts. Don't forget to check out ConeOfArc.store while you're down there using the link in the description. Every purchase goes a long way to helping reduce the number of sponsorships I need to take and lowers my reliance on YouTube ad revenue. Thanks as always to my ConelyFans as well, who continually show their support for this content and who can now unlock a 5% discount on any purchase from ConeOfArc.store by becoming a member of the ConelyFan Investor tier. That's more than enough shilling for one day though, so if you enjoyed this video, consider checking out my previous one on how the Tiger originally wore a skirt, or whichever other video YouTube has decided you'll like. See you there, or in my next video. And I'll know if you don't show up, so you better be there.